Alright, we are looking at Marvel 2 for 1 starring The Thing, battling The Thing. The big 50th issue, and only one shall survive. They both survive actually, but it's quite an artful interpretation of the ending. We have got Thing fighting another Thing. It is early doors Thing. Thing before he looked like what we think of when we think of The Thing. This is a neat, done-in-one Twilight Zone affair. It is written and penciled by Jason Byrne in what is, I believe, his first proper writing credit. Before this, he had co-plotted Excellent Men, but Christopher Clairvoyant was the writer of that book. And this, edited by Royce Sternum, who also edited Excellent Men, is one of, if not the, first full writing credit for Jason Byrne. There is an issue of What If, I cannot remember the number. It is a Fantastic Force one as well. But I think that is possibly before this, and if it's not, then that is his second go as a writer. Jason Byrne, as a writer, and an artist as well, is someone who will get incredibly awful at a point in his career. And what is alarming is how good his first shot at writing is. It's not the best writing you'll ever read, but it's very succinct and engaging. Two things to note on this second page. Whatever gets us off the credit page, where I can no longer spew my crazy ideas about who was maybe involved with the idea here. Mr. Fantasticals has created a cure for the Thing. But the problem is that it is a cure he has been working on from the beginning, and due to the Thing's continued transformations, the cure will no longer work on him. This begins Jason Byrne's love affair with Thing's original appearance. But the other thing I wanted to point out is that Mr. Fantasticals mentions his recent struggles with his powers starting to fade. We saw this in the IT plot, the uneven four-parter I finished reviewing 2 months ago. Nice little bit of continuity from video to video. Thing comes up with the harebrained scheme to use Mr. Doom's time platform to go back in time to when the cure would work on him and give it to himself then. One thing I love about this is the pacing. Jason Byrne is the originator of what became known as decompression for good and bad. It works here. It works for most of Jason Byrne's stuff until about 1993. And I haven't just brung it up, and this is confusingly the absolute reverse of decompression. But it's refreshing to see this story condensed into an issue rather than dragged out across 4 like the IT plot was. Thing is back in time, and here is his past self, back when he looked like a lump of shit. Yeah, if you didn't know, Thing, he looked like this originally. Over time, he was, I would say it wasn't even meant to be part of the character's history. It was an artistic choice rather than intentionally transforming him. How Jack Quimby drew him changed to the craggier, scale, rockier form that we all know and love. Or in my case, 8. I do not like Thing. Benjamin Thing. Outside of the original Stanley Lee and Jack Quimby comics, and a few other stories, and this is one of those few other stories, the two things, they fight. And then there is a line of dialogue on this page about Thing thinking a car is old, but then realising that back then it was a new car. I will refer to this when I bring up my big point at the end. The problem with Thing, for me, is that almost everything after Lee and Quimby is rehashing the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. People aimlessly trying to replicate and retell the same ideas and character arcs. And then you have this story where we are doing a specific rehash of Lee and Quimby's Thing, but it's great because Jason Byrne is actually using this to show us how the character is very different to his original counterpart. Thing has grown. Thing has matured. Thing has come to terms with his lot in life. And all the anger and bitter resentment of Lee and Quimby's original take are a thing of the past. Pun intended there. Thing of the past. This makes Jason Byrne's later run on Fantastic Force a bit unusual, because he does have Thing revert to somewhat closer to his original appearance. His run is a weird one. I haven't read it all, surprisingly, but it has some weird reversions to the Silver Age like that. But then you have the better stuff, the moving characters forward, the character growth, and the changes. Hume on Fire growing up a lot. Invisible Wife becoming a woman instead of a girl. She-Hulk's replacing Thing. And then there's the Kerry Washington relay, never mind, it was retcons. The larger part of this issue is a giant fight between the things. It's very entertaining. It's a good fight. Jason Byrne really knocked it out of the park on this one. It is very easy for an issue-long fight to become boring, but I don't think this one ever does. Thing, our Thing, wins against his past self, and the real quality of this issue comes on our final pages, where Spider-Man fights Photo Man. This felt a bit disconnected from the main plot. I don't know what Jason Byrne was thinking, bringing Spider-Man in so last minute. But then, Thing, he gives his past self the cure, or maybe some Twinkies, and it transforms him back to normal human Benjamin Thing. We and the Thing return to the present, where Thing learns that he is still a rock monster and that he cannot alter the past. He has only created a divergent, alternate reality by travelling back in time. Thing, again, reaffirming his growth and maturity as a character, is okay with that, because at least he did get to help someone in the end. He helped an angrier and more emotional Benjamin Thing. Lovely ending. This comic is very notable as it is what established Marvel's official rules to time travel. We had time travel and time travelers before this. Chronos, obviously. There was Fantastic Four issue 19, Avengers 56, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four issue 5 as well, the Blackbeard stuff. There wasn't any consistency with how time travel affected the present day. This tells us that if a character goes back in time, and especially if they alter history or cause some change to a string of events, the present remains unaffected because what they have done is create a new history. They have created an alternate reality where those changes occur. In this, Thing travelled back to what felt like his past, but in his past, he never encountered a time-travelling future version of himself, so it didn't happen. You can't change the past through time travel at Marvel, because to change the past would negate the future wherein you change that past. These remain Marvel's rules for time travel for a long time. I don't think it was until you-know-who, a certain editor, that they were discarded and we got random, contradictory time travel back. Marvel's rules of time travel are something that are associated a lot with Marky Mark G. I've saved this for the end because I think people will get pissed off. I think Marky Mark G had some contribution here. Its verbatim is time travel logic. I think he even hypothesised and wrote this manifesto on time travel up in his fanzine, Omniverse. Before this, Jason Byrne drew an issue of this series which was written by Mark. After this, he will draw more issues written by Mark on this title. I'm not trying to steal Jason Byrne's credit away. I'm of the mind that one of two things happened. First is that Jason Byrne, or editor Royce Sternum, who was the consultant editor on Omniverse, read Marky Mark J's time travel piece and agreed with it. The other, a more likely scenario, is that Jason Byrne was talking to Mark about this story idea he had, that he wanted to do, and the two came to the same or similar conclusions about how time travel operates. This issue stands as a testament to how time travel to the past would and should be handled in the Marvel Universe. I pointed out that line about the car earlier on because that's the one bit in the script where it felt like a Marky Mark script rather than a Jason Byrne one. That is it though, the rest is all Jason Byrne. This is his comic, no doubt about that. I'm not taking that away from him. I think there is a concept introduced at the end that belongs to Mark though. A great issue, this one though. Jason Byrne, one of his best scripts. It's easy to see on the back of this that he was handed a lot more writing jobs and eventually the keys to Fantastic Force. This is good. We've got 2 things on the cover, so I will do you 5 better and rate this 7 things up.